Common Sense Media activated.
Live from the 210, it's the Wave of the Few Short Show, and we are your hosts, Mr. Trey M. Carr, and I am E. James.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Wave of the Few Shore, aka WFS, where we like to navigate the waters of life. So this week we're going to be doing a little bit of reflection, a little bit of discussion on the infinite vastness that is the cosmos that we live in, and how this small little marble in the sky that we call home really compares, and then how we compare as people in this cosmos. But before I get all, sensei on you guys and open up your third eye in this universe, how's everybody? How we doing, man? How's everybody doing?
Hello, sensei.
My third eye is just fine. Thank you very much.
I'm very worried about the pineal gland.
We'll see now.
With the what gland?
You don't know the third eye? My bad.
Or pineal?
There's a pineal. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking of Men in Black. The very end of the movie, that blew my mind.
Oh, man.
Whoa, with the marble. Oh, yeah, let's just start there.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie is where we begin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what we're getting into. Man. Before we take the cat out of the bag, jumping on the marble train there.
I like it.
Did we have any gratitude you guys want to share? Any love as we come into this week?
Yeah, I can get that started. I want to thank the entire Chasm crew. So WFS, Dad Mode, and people behind the scenes who support us and give us their feedback and suggestions and, just honest opinions on ways we can improve what's working and what's not. That means a lot to us. And I'll give a second shout out to my kids and my wife. They've been awesome. They've always got my back. They bring a smile on my face.
Nice, man. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Always beautiful.
So
How about you, bro?
So do I get two too? I feel like I should get two as well. It's only fair.
Go for it.
I'm just kidding.
There's no rules there.
So my first shout out is to the little one, little red Corvette. She's great. It was my birthday last week, so y'all know, but the Chasmverse does not quite understand or know that I was once a baby. I was indeed once a baby, and I was once born. I wasn't just manifested out of a tube. But yeah, so the best birthday gift I've ever gotten in my 32 years of life, I went to a daddy-daughter dance with the kid. It was nice. So I got to shout out my girl and her little girl for including me into something that I've always wanted to be. So it's a real beautiful thing. I'm honored for that. And it put me over the moon. Call her Carvette.
Corvette. I like
And also want to shout out my dog, Gracie. I found $2 the other day because she threw up $2.
Huh. Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, she
give me my $2.
Yeah, she swallowed $2 coins, and then in the morning I just heard clink clink, and I was like, "What?" And so she's okay. So she's a little piggy
That's
bank
good.
right now. I have her under strict monitoring and supervision just to make sure she doesn't grab stuff off my coffee table no more. With that being said, life is funny, life is beautiful. And do you have anything, Trey?
Yeah, I do want to kind of piggyback off your beginning there. I want to give a shout out to my kids, my two little girls. If you haven't heard on the dad word, we're inviting a third one into the world, and we recently told my kids about it, and their excitement and care and kind of tenderness from that point on has just really calmed the rest of my nerves that I had with this change. There's still a lot of things we got to figure out, of course, but I'm not worried about how my kids are going to react or anything like that. I think they're going to be wonderful big sisters. So shout out.
I think that deserves a round of applause. And one minor thing, dad mode.
got to plug, man.
At Dad Mode Pod, we're going to have Trey do a monthly check-in on the baby's progress. Thank you, man, for being willing to do that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, yeah, it'll be fun to document. I can't wait to hear it and then hear it in 10 years. You know what I mean?
I know, right? Hey, man, dad mode never ends. That's one of our many sayings there. I'd like to do a quick PSA as well. So I recently spoke with the crew. I'm going to be taking a break here from WFS for a little bit to handle some stuff behind the scenes with Chasm. The show is going to continue to go on. I'm not quitting the show. For all our listeners out there, Trey and Carr, they got this. They know what they're doing. They're professionals. So hopefully I'll come back nice and energized, new ideas, fun stuff. We'll keep the train moving. But for those who may listen and miss this episode and wonder, man, where the heck is Eric? That's where I am. And I said my own name for real, for real. That's a rarity.
That's how real it was.
Yeah, that is how real it is. So
yeah, man. Well,
that's it.
Hey, man, I appreciate you putting in the work behind the scenes to make this group of folks that we work with and this project that you've manifested hit the next level. And I hope that, swiftly and we just do great things. And this is the launching pad that we need. And if there's anything, of course, you need from us, just holler. We'll be here for you, but we'll hold it down.
Thank you, man.
We'll be holding it down. So the wave will stay rolling.
Appreciate you, and we appreciate you.
That's you, the listener. We're the one that we're in the ears of. I'll just summarize this process with a quote from, it's an English proverb. It says, necessity is the mother of invention. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a fun exercise. Yeah. So it wasn't doom and gloom when we came up with these ideas. So it's nice. I mean, it's a little odd, but that goes to show you that just like water, we are wavy and flexible.
That's it.
Be water, my friend. Bruce Lee.
Yeah, it's a fundamental tenet of our existence here. So we're going to try and just go with it and go with the wave.
Man, so it's beautiful.
And right into the cosmic waves, right?
Yeah. While we're talking about existence and those cosmic waves.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a good time to start to reflect and have that discussion that we talked on, man. So we were talking about the scale of the cosmos, this universe that we call home. Just like a couple of facts here that I want to throw into talking about the scale of the cosmos. So the observable universe, and I like to throw that in there, observable universe, that's 93 billion light years in diameter. That's unfathomable if you're thinking about distance. Light year to light year. That's going as fast as 186,000 miles a second. What's that? It's about 7 times around the Earth in a second, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that math. That's just a little fact I had in the back of the head there. But you're thinking that's just a second, and you're talking years. 93 billion light years in diameter, man. When y'all think about just the space and size and time, and the overall openness of the universe, how do you feel? What comes to mind when you hear those kind of numbers, and if you can kind of fathom where that comes from?
And just to add to what you were saying, a light year is the distance light travels in 1 Earth year, and 1 light year is about 6 trillion miles or 9 trillion kilometers.
Yeah.
So that is a 6 with 12 zeros behind it.
Yeah, my apologies.
Holy smokes.
I was thinking the speed of light, how fast we're traveling.
You're all good, man. Yeah, it's all good.
But what do you think? Like, if you're thinking about that, like all those zeros, and then you're thinking 93 billion of those, so many more zeros. How does that really kind of make you feel? Or where do you come from thinking of that?
Do you ever think as you're sitting in traffic or doing something mundane, like waiting at a water fountain or waiting at the ice cream truck or waiting at the bank, that your place in space and time is just a small little piece inside that whole thing? And you really wonder why your consciousness exists in that space and time. Like, why are you there to witness it? It becomes internal for me when I think about how big things are. You ever get those dreams when you were like a little kid? And I guess they're not dreams, they're like waking dreams, but do you ever have like night terrors where your hands get big or like you feel like your body is bigger than the room and it kind of messes with your sense of scale? Like when I really intently focus on that before I'm going to bed, like the universe and all that stuff, I get that same kind of feeling like I'm getting bigger than the room or smaller than the room and things are expanding and changing. I think the sense of scale is overwhelming. And I'm not one to be queasy about height or like big arenas or a bunch of noise or anything. But when I really, really think of like transcending the atmosphere into blackness, into space, into whatever's all out there, like that's a really, it's disassociative, but not in a terrible way. You know, it's a little Lovecraftian. Makes me think of like the weird stuff that we cannot perceive and see, like all the unimaginable things, but that makes it more interesting for me. But it becomes like an inner thing for me. It becomes internal.
No, I completely love how you put that and understand exactly where you're coming from. That's kind of how my mind shifts as well. It's like you're looking at such a vastness that your sight just happens to come around and go back into you, and it becomes an internal thing of, you know, where am I in this vastness? Where do I make my place? What about you, E?
Using one word to describe it, but multiple one words, exciting, scary, interesting, and I'm winking at Skexy on that one. Interesting, humbling. We go about our days or day doing it, whatever it is we do, without the ability to fathom what's going on the complete opposite side of what's up there. And we say up there because our viewpoint. So Carr put me on to checking out Carl Sagan. And I watched this video before we did this show where he's talking about the fourth dimension. And, you know, he's got all the flat objects, and it's a simple thing, right? But the flat objects have no concept of up or down in this diagram that he paints. And so looking at us as that model, it's like, sometimes, man, I just sit outside, even in the daytime. I'm like, what is going on out there? Like, really, what? We know what this is, but we don't know what this is. You know, as you mentioned earlier, Trey, with the telescopes, you know, the observable universe is so large. Key word, observable.
Yeah.
What about the things you can't see?
What do we not know about yet? And the thing that really drives me crazy with that too is we look up and we're looking at all these images as we see them now. What we're seeing is millions, most of the time, years old. You're talking light years, the speed of it takes the light from that moment to get to us. Something's 100 million light years away. That's what was happening 100 million years ago. What's going on now? Like it blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. It gives the peak level of interest out of anything that I do, just kind of getting lost in that space. Like, that's ridiculous to me.
I know we mentioned this in our Chasm crossover 1.0 with Free. I think we brought up Interstellar. But have either of you revisited that movie since that conversation?
Yeah.
I'm
fascinated by the fourth dimension because it's like, it's so close and adjacent to ours, but it has to do with time. And I think time is very interesting because it's something that could be transformed through distance and gravity and other elements, or not elements, but other principles of physics. And once you realize it's just a principle of physics that could be altered, then you start getting to that weird quantum theory stuff.
Yeah.
But
Right.
like in a nutshell, if you were in the fourth dimension, if you can see it like in a 3-dimensional space, like the most basic way to see that is through a cube. You see something called a hypercube, which looks like a 3-dimensional like crucifix in a way, because every square has a square on every side. And then when it moves, it looks like it moves within itself, but it's not. Those are just the unseen angles that you see in the third dimension.
Yeah.
And when you break that in an abstract concept in time, if you were to look at a person in the fourth dimension, in that instance, you'd see their birth and death at the same time. It's like a tunnel. It's like a weird static tunnel. So stuff.
When you say that, it's almost like a snapshot, right?
Yeah.
It's just something you see that's all comprehensive or something. Like you see every instance of it and every iteration of it in that time frame. And then other dimensions modify that iteration, and you get different like divergences and stuff. Like you have a mustache in one of them and you don't in the other, and like it's weird. And then as you get higher in the dimensions, you can jump between the realities and stuff, and kind of that's how all that kind of scales, and that's fascinating to me.
And now it sounds like we're moving into like my thing, right? Comic books with multiversity, you know, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You mentioned the vastness tray, and in our notes here, we have literally written down as a topic the scale of the cosmos, time, size, and power. And I always felt like I never thought of it this way until I saw those words. But I think, as an example, that movie Interstellar does a pretty solid job. It's not perfect, but it does a great job, or does its best to kind of give you the time, obviously, because Christopher Nolan films are obsessed with time, at least most of them, size and power. And not power in the sense of how strong our presence is, but the power of time, the power of size, the relativity aspect, the power of love, the power of humanity. You know, so there's just, I don't know, that I thought that was really cool. Oh, the power of the black hole.
Yeah. Power of the black hole, how that affects time and the power of time. Man, that is my absolute favorite Christopher Nolan movie. And I'm like I love Batman, dude. Like the Dark Knight, it's a thing. Like the Dark Knight is my favorite Batman movie and one of my favorite movies of all time. But then Interstellar came out, and it was just a whole nother lane for me. The little things that they do in that movie, I love how they manipulate time. And then after you watch it, you read some things over and over again, you see how they intricately let you know how time's skipping in certain places by not really letting you know, like things like that. But it's so, you know, real. Those are things you don't think about when you're making those type of intergalactic moves. That's what's needed. That's the part that we don't understand. And I love how he broke it down and visualized it.
Yeah.
At least
with the bookshelf.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with the bookshelf, and then like the Tesseract model, and just getting so far into space and time that you end up on the other side and you see your daughter as an elderly woman. And like, those are all things that are all kind of based in like popular science theories, but it really conceptualizes it for like the common man to really understand. And it's like a real romanticized idea of it too, because you have a dying planet, you have a guy born like a century too late. You know, you have all these like wonderful things at play that create this scenario that's like make or break it, and he ends up like saving humanity, and they're on some space station at the end of it. I think that's
as a total aside. I think that's kind of the bookshelf part at the end is kind of, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. That's kind of where they lost me a little bit. That's why I'm partial to Inception, but it's still a great story. I still love the film.
Timeless.
I think that was the only way that, I don't know, you mentally grasp what you're doing in that like insane aspect of what you're reaching for. With that movie, it grounds it to like the human level, right? Because we're talking about something that we don't fully understand yet. But it's crazy. That's the need, though, right? That's what we do. Explore. Yeah, explorers. Going to those limits out of necessity, out of thrill, out of curiosity, right? Those are the big things that really drive that. So you look back at movies on like Interstellar, or we talk about that vastness of the cosmos. Do you think that this is something that like Homo sapiens, I'm talking like human beings, like as we are, maybe not as we are today, but the same species, you know, maybe you would just unlock a little bit more brain power, but we're still people. Do you think that's something that we have the opportunity to really do? And I'm not talking in your lifetime or my lifetime, because that's an easy answer to me, but just as people, or do you think it's like oh no, dude, we got to send automatons into the into the universe in order to spread any type of human essence? What do you think the limits are there? Oh, I couldn't, man.
I like that you put it like that, human essence, because a lot of theorists say like we're the sex organs of the next generation of like immortal beings or something like that. Like we're going to create those things, you know, it's going to transcend humanity and flesh and blood and all those very simple things that keep us bound to earth. Tertiary is the wrong word. Something with Terra. I don't know.
Close enough.
Can I explore an idea with you guys that based on what you just said? I've been thinking about this, and if I've said it to you guys before, you can stop me. It's something I've thought about for years, and this is going to sound like a high thought, but this is just how I think when I'm bored. So you talked about us being the sex organs of another species. I always wonder, like, did ants and all the insects and all the smaller creatures, you know, not trying to challenge spirituality or religion or anything like that, let's just kind of go with this as an idea, right? Because I know there are people that listen to our show who are of faith. But did those creatures create us like the way we created AI? And then all the organs and all the cells and things in the ocean, the ground, whatever, just kind of come together and we gain our own consciousness and became superior to them, right? We now rule over the earth. Are we redoing that now with the GPTs? Well, those are large language models, but with the AI, because AI is such a throwaway word now, but with this intelligence that we are creating, are we doing it again? Are we going to be the ants and the beetles? Are we the insects?
That's a fascinating thought. I think if you believe in evolutionary theories, then it's easy to perceive that. I'm open to science. We can't talk about all this stuff and not be open to science, in my opinion, or at least you can talk about it, but not be a believer in it. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like the evolutionary theories, I can see that now. Because what do you evolve from? From amoeba in the ocean, you're talking, to a lizard, to a little monkey, to a human being, to what does a human being create? That's the question, right? And that's what we're looking at. We're actually creating an intelligence beyond our own. And it's scary kind of to think about, but that is what this could lead to. And I know a lot of big figures that I've, looked at in this realm, like the Neil deGrasse Tysons of the world. They believe that. They don't think that this form of us is going to be able to interstellarly conquer or explore and travel. It's just too vast. That's really what it comes down to, the human, but then you have what Carr says. What if it's not, we create the next step of evolution, but it's, we unplug ourselves or rewire ourselves in ways that make us less from Terra and more from,
like you transmute your limitations into something that's more hardy in space.
Exactly.
There's a popular fiction out there called All Tomorrows, and it's like a free ebook you can get. It's just a big PDF, but it's a conceptualization of if humanity like leaves this planet, like what do all the branches look like? And it's still based in humanity, but there's like weird little monster dudes with sails for backs because they can glide across the desert in their desert landscape. And there's like some spacefaring ones that don't really have any features. They kind of look like grays. There's like all these different kind of concepts of what they could be, but it all stems from humanity. So that could be a very real possibility into that. Like it could just branch off and we could still have a little bit of the human spirit or the human essence, as you put it, Trey, like in different things. Or maybe we are the essence of something else, you know?
Right. And so the reason why I brought that up, we're organic life forms, and we talk about trying to have interstellar travel and easily traverse the cosmos, right? But we are organic life forms. What do we depend on? Oxygen,
the
water.
elements.
These things, yes, the elements. These things that we create may not be bound by those constraints that we have, which would make them be able to go and explore and boldly go where no man has gone before.
Yeah.
You know? And then let's go kind of like the Men in Black thing, but different. Sometimes I think, what if we are galaxies? We can't see beyond what we can see, even with telescopes. What if inside of us, all the blood, the white and red blood cells and all that, like, what if that's a galaxy? What if we're a part of a larger life form?
It's all a sim,
without realizing
it's all a sim.
Yeah, simulation theory is scary, but
yeah, it is. It is.
Now I know I'm getting really far off there, but it's just
That is kind of crazy to think about, though.
you're just trying to explain your existence, you know, through the cosmos and etc.
And the funny part about that is if you trace back like the molecules and the atoms that make us, they're traced back to the beginning of the universe, right? They're the elements in the universe are in constant recycle. Matter can't be created or destroyed. So everything that is here has been here, and everything that will be here is already here. It's just recycled in some way.
Too.
Hey, oh man, don't even get me started on the dark matter, man.
I know.
Man,
I know.
that's a great theory, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But that's like the ultimate question. Maybe that'll be part 2, a series.
dark matter. Well, there's also that idea that matter is mostly empty space when you really look at like atoms and stuff. There's a lot of empty space between all those little things moving around.
Yeah, that is true.
That's weird, man. Like, it's crazy, man. But
isn't it also weird though?
Yeah,
it's a trip, man.
Like, if you really break down the fundamentals of reality and all that stuff, like you kind of don't worry as much, because you realize it's all this big chaotic dance and we're all just a part of it. And then we can enjoy things better. We can learn to live, laugh, and love. No, we can just kind of learn to kind of roll with it, really. Like, it's a little bit freeing in a way because there's something out of your control. And I think we're at this nice little interstice in time where we realize that we're just a hot dog people that are not going to be able to make it into space, but we're definitely going to get the next generation into it. And maybe, and this is just like another big level thought, maybe we design the mechanical hardy being to have reverence for organic beings, and then that's what seeds the next planet, these machines, because they have something in their fundamental ethos that there's some sort of value in a fleshy object that eats and poops, you know? Because there's the human spirit is like how amazingly resilient we are, yet so fragile, right? Like we're strong, we're crazy strong, we're crazy capable of anything, really. We're the apex predator, but like we're not resistant to fire or water, all the things that make us, you know? And I think that's beautiful in a way. Like, yeah, we're bound to this place, but it doesn't mean we can't break out and get popped into another place.
It's the will of man and as a species, not as men, but men and women, right? Our species, the will that we have to survive, evolve, explore, explain, all those fancy buzzwords, right? Or they're not even buzzwords, but just fill in the blank. But it's what we do.
And much like Batman, like your indomitable will get you through it, you know?
That or the Green Lantern, the willpower to fight through something.
You know what I think is going to make the big break for at least interplanetary travel? Money.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down to money.
Plenty
man.
of people. There are plenty of people with that. Bezos, Musk, Branson.
Muskie. Oh, Muskie.
So,
Oh, Muskie, man. I think.
Muskie.
I think it's crazy how quickly space travel is shifting from a governmentally funded experience or conquest to a privatized
commercial venture.
Right.
And I think that
Right.
really is where the break's going to come, because what I think is going to happen is you're going to have these companies, Blue Origin, SpaceX, the companies that you have these folks running, they want to get to Mars and things like that. But really what I think everybody wants are the asteroids.
Mm-hmm.
I really think, yeah, exactly.
The resources
that lie in the asteroid belt and in certain asteroids can be endless. So I think if you can start learning how to travel, reusing those rockets, things that they're trying to do, I think it's going to be the thing that breaks us. Somebody's going to hit a payload, man, of an asteroid worth half of the world's economy, learn how to land on it, and everybody's just it's gonna be like the doors open.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be like monetary stuff is not gonna matter anymore, because you're right, it's gonna provide opportunity, hopefully for everybody. But you know how things go in commercialism.
I was going to say, just to piggyback off your monetary thing there, it will, because that's what we do. We find a way to sell you air and sell you water. We have water in a bottle, stuff that's freely available. We have found a way to sell it to you. So we've come so far since the space race, post Cold War, and Sputnik, right? And then us going, nope, democracy has to prevail over communism.
Liberty.
And of course, you guys have heard those conspiracy theories. We never landed on the moon. It was just I think Interstellar actually even says it at some point. It was propaganda to make the Russians feel that we were superior in our space program to them, right? That's a fun one. But as mentioned by Trey, the privatization, the commercialization of space is just insane. You mentioned Blue Origin, SpaceX. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Virgin Galactic. You had, rest in peace, Hamish Harding, the guy that died on the submersible, who had Action Aviation. He supplied parts. His company supplies parts for Blue Origin and other aviation companies. So when you look at those guys, in addition to NASA, it's fascinating that there are so many players in this space. Oh, and there's a new branch of the military.
Yeah.
Space Force. They're a department, they're a branch of the Air Force, but that's how the Marines started. They were a department of the Navy. And I believe the Navy was a department of the Army, weren't they?
Oh, so, I haven't. I honestly have no clue. I just know they're a faction, that. And I do know they do their basic training out of Lackland and San Antonio. That's about all I know about the Space Force.
Yeah, I have a neighbor up the street who's in the Space Force. First person I ever met who's Space Force. And I'd honestly had forgotten about them.
That's pretty cool, though.
And their logo looks like Starfleet.
It does.
It does.
That's intentional, man. They want to have a guy named James T. Kirk be like the first guy to pilot like the first ship. Like it will be done because nerds.
Well, and hey, man, art often imitates life. Life often imitates art. We talked about it in the prep for the show, how it's crazy how we went from Star Trek having a flip phone to us having a flip phone for a while, the Motorola Razr, etc., to now we have these little
computer in my pocket,
like full-on computers in our pockets, and then we laugh about the mechs and the Iron Man and all that stuff, but one day we're going to get there. Imagine what the NFL will look like when the armor, it's not pads, it's actual guys dressed like Iron Man tackling each other.
Oh, bro, you're not going to be able to like sit no type of close.
Yeah.
Shrapnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be shrapnel everywhere, right? And these
Slam
pieces, and this is going to sound like I'm going on a tangent, but these pieces of this armor will be from recycled spaceships.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know,
Okay.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And so, or recycled armor from Space Force. Oh yeah, you can have that. That was like 10 years ago. Go ahead and play your little kids game for millions of dollars. We're going and we're going to colonize Titan.
So with all those potential plans in place, I think what normal middle class Americans are going to see first, and it's going to be accessible to them in like 200 years if this is still a whole thing. We're going to see Disneyland and McDonald's as the first stops to Mars. Yeah,
Starbucks.
It's just going to be commercialized. It's going to be a mall.
Oh man.
Like, yeah, we're
in the stars.
On a little
Starbucks in the
star.
stars.
Nah,
Starbucks on a star.
Well, yes, but also there's going to be a Starbucks on the ship that you're going to be flying on or coasting
yeah.
through in 2 months.
Of
And like,
course.
yeah, that's going to be weird. Like, ugh. that makes
talk
me
about-
You pay him in credits.
and space credits.
You talk about how art has imitated life as we come through, like with Star Trek coming into today, and things like that. I like to think of what we're witnessing now, what we're watching now, the Interstellars, right? My favorite probably book series of all time, overtaking Harry Potter, The Expanse that Edge put me on. Man, I love it. I love that book because it seems so realistic, like a natural progression of how our exploration can proceed. You're talking, they get around, can kind of get to asteroids and hop around rocks and stuff like that, barely make it to
Right.
Mars, want to recolonize, and somebody gets the Epstein engine and boom, now we're up and down the solar
kill
system.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I read words in that book so wrong. Like I don't know. But anyway, but you're jumping around not the galaxy, but you're jumping around the solar system, and then something happens, that the alien opening up the gates, who knows? But that progression, and then the progression that follows on like Earth, right? You have all these resources. So there's people that want to work and people that get a fixed income here, live in these housings, and you get this amount of money for the month, and that's just, you get being an Earth citizen. That part of it is crazy to me. And that's what I think really is something that can be imitated, because Carr was talking about, how do we, the middle class person in the future, what is life like for us in this realm where we can travel all over the solar system? And I think that's kind of,
I think it's interesting you talk about the job opportunities that this will bring, because I look at a company like SpaceX. You've got Falcon 9, and this is, you can go straight to their website, and these are the headers at the top. You don't even have to look that hard. Starlink. We've all heard of Starlink. Satellites in the sky providing internet service. So a satellite ISP, Starshield, human space flight's a project, Starship, Dragon, Falcon Heavy. So all these different opportunities, these projects, just out of SpaceX. And that's just the beginning of what they want to do, obviously. I mean, as time goes on and there's much more success in these other companies like Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic. Now, Virgin seems less about I don't want to say they're less about the exploration. They obviously are, but I think it's more about, with Virgin, making it a commercial service to provide other people to experience the galactic part. I mean, Richard Branson, for crying out loud, started Virgin Records. He was a music dude. Actually, I think before that he had a magazine. Don't quote me. I'll double check that part. But I know at least about Virgin Music. Then you had Virgin Airlines, and you've got the cruises and stuff like that. So this guy is all about providing travel of some kind as a service. You'd have to imagine that that's the intent with Virgin Galactic, whereas Origin and SpaceX, I'm not saying I would rule it out, rule out the travel part for us normies, but it's going to be super expensive, right? Virgin Galactic's going to be super expensive, but I think with his track record, their track record, they may crack the code to make it a lot more affordable, and that just means it's $500K versus $1 million.
I think the most
for a trip around the moon.
I think the
you were
most.
like-
What were you gonna say, bro?
I was gonna say, if you were like wealthy, but not stupid rich like Elon rich, but like wealthy, like I could blow some money. How much would you pay to go spend a weekend on the moon and like drink moon whiskey and float around in gravity and
Misky.
like whiskey. Just
whiskey.
vacation on the moon? How much would you pay for that? Like 2 days on the moon?
I think it depends on how wealthy I am.
Like money's not really an object. Like
if I'm a billionaire, then yeah. I mean, if they tell me it's $1 million, I'm like, here, put it on my tab, kid. Here's $2 million. Here's a tips. But if it cost, I mean, I don't know. I guess this depends on how wealthy I am. But
that's true.
$1 million sounds about right.
I think.
Yeah, I figured I'd pay about $1 million to get up there, spend a couple days, come back. That's kind of the thought I was thinking too.
I think I'd feel too guilty. It's like my Catholic guilt coming into play. Like I would want to do something with my time, with my weekend up there. I want to make a difference. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'd be able to consciously do that. But also, like with space travel, there's a lot of resources that get used up. I mean, it does mess up our environment a little bit when you got a big old rocket bursting flames out of its ass.
Yeah,
burning through our atmosphere and poking a hole in the
maybe
ozone.
not literally, but it does use a lot of resources and time and money and all that stuff. And like just for me to fart around on the moon for a little bit, like I don't know, man. But if you had to give me a chance, like if I want a raffle so I could sit next to William Shatner and do that, I mean, sure.
I have to get to space, man. That's my goal before I die. It's probably not going to happen. I want one of my kids to at least go. That's always been my thing. One of you's got to get to space. Just one of you, and I'll
I think
be happy.
the first I don't want to say normies, but the first normal people that are going to have space accessible to them are going to be the ones that are going to throw their careers into it. So you're going to get a lot of like alien situations, space mining, stuff like that.
I wouldn't feel bad because the kind of person that I am, if I'm able to do it once, then I'm going to do it again. And when I go back, I'll be looking to take different things from it. You know what I mean? So it's like the first time will be just for
the awe.
Pure amazement.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say the laws, but that's
the opposite.
It's totally wrong. Yeah. It's the opposite of the laws. It's just like, I did it. And if I'm able to get back safely, oh man, I mean, just there would be no greater high in the world. People can do their ayahuasca or whatever that it is that they choose to do. And I'm sure they tap into another dimension, but just to say, I went up to space and I looked down at our home and I couldn't even see you. I mean, it's like that in a plane, but on a much grander
bigger
scale.
order
like,
of magnitude.
I don't see any.
Right.
I don't see anything. I just see green and blue, like and white.
I don't even have to go on the moon. The moon would be like icing on the cake to just take a trip to fly around the Earth or at least a portion of it, spend a few hours up there because that's all they've got. I mean, yeah, my mind would be blown, man.
It would put things in perspective in a way. Like astronauts come back and they have kind of a different view on things. It'd be a privilege. It'd be a real beautiful privilege to do so. It'd be shocking.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm actively trying to avoid, that complete shock and awe situation. Like I know some people really strive for that, for novelty. I think it's just, it's a little terrifying for me still, for sure. The novelty of it.
Oh, it would absolutely be, man.
But it would be one of those things where I come back home, I'm sitting like on the toilet going, I should have used most of my time up there, That's where the thoughts would go. I'd be like doing something mundane and just thinking about like, oh, my footprint's still up on the moon.
Yeah, up on the moon, just there,
this ain't space TP.
Like one of my vans is still imprinted on the moon next to William Shatner's boot. He's like 70 something. I don't think he's ever going to get past the atmosphere ever again. 80 something? No, he's old. He's like
he's older than that. Yeah.
Shout out to William Shatner getting up there. That's cool.
Captain James T. Kirk.
Captain Kirk, baby.
So
shout out to Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah, he had the biggest vision for an ideal society and what that would do and how it would transcend into this big multicultural, multi-special force that was only meant for good. And that is the most beautiful
Yeah.
fiction, in my opinion. Like, the idealized version of space conquest is to educate and inform and to raise up other species. I think that is just that there was no other human creative like that had come up with that concept before, because it's all just space marines shooting each other and killing aliens.
Yeah, it's all violence and conquer and plant my flag and
he thought about everything. The holodeck was the field of dreams for a lot of kids. Like, who didn't want to go to the holodeck, and who didn't want to eat the food that was perfectly created every time they went to the cafeteria that wasn't even made of real food. It was just patterns and proteins. Like, they didn't eat meat; they ate the facsimile of meat. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
it's crazy things to think about, though. Those are changes that would have to happen if we wanted, as far as like eating the meat and stuff, that would have to happen if we wanted to take that jump or that step. But really, I don't know, man. When it comes to Star Trek, I just think it'd be nice, but it's too nice.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's just me.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just
too righteous.
Human.
Yeah.
It's too good for you.
Yeah.
And then thinking back to just looking down, or the opportunity to go to space, man. I think if I ever got that opportunity, it would, I like the word you said earlier in the show, humbling. Like, I think, I don't think there's anything in the world that would center me better than that. Have me find that hopefully that peace and that balance. I feel like it's either going to go into total peace and balance, or like total insanity, like just freaking out all the time because you see how small you really are. I feel like there's only two ways that house folds.
So we've touched on space from a literal sense, the cosmos. We've talked about our destinies and conquests as humans to go and either privatize travel for whatever purposes, our governmental standpoint. We touched on what does it all mean. I want to ask you guys, how do you own your place in space? Like, how do you come to grips with what you are in all of this? How relevant are we?
It's all about the eyes you're looking through, man. In the eyes of humanity, you have the ability to be extremely relevant, but in the eyes of the universe, you're completely irrelevant. Really, which is, again, mind blowing. Like a lot of these things that we've talked about today. But for me, coming to grips, it starts with opening up my mind to the possibilities that there are things I will never see, I will never know in this universe. So I need to focus on what I do know and what I can see, and what I can control. Is kind of how it shifts for me. Energies in the universe, I'm a karma kind of guy. So when I think about the universe as a whole, coming to grips is that it's just doing good in what I have, appreciating what I have, and trying to make the most out of the opportunities that I'm given. And, like I said, I'll be irrelevant in the universe, but as long as I can enjoy the time that I'm here for it, then I'm here for it. You know what I mean?
I love the stoicism coming out of you two today, and owning your place and understanding, that you're part in the timeline. So your names are now Triumphales and Carthus, like true Stoic philosophers, man. No, it's cool to listen to. That's enjoyable. But I agree with you. Basically, I don't really have much to add other than that. I mean, our time on this planet and our existence that we're aware of is a blip. It's not even a blip, man. It's a blink.
It's a lark.
Your timeline ends and space continues.
Yeah, you put that.
Both.
What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say both. I was gonna say literally and figuratively. Space continues.
You put that perfect. There's an immediate influence that you can have with the world around you, and I am a karma kind of guy too.
Yeah.
It's profound. It's scary. It's enlightening. It's all those things. If you were just to 1 second, just instant transmission up there and be able to breathe up in space like Superman. Shout out to Akira Toriyama. Rest in peace, brother.
Oh,
anyway,
man. Rest in peace.
Oh, man. Okay. So, yeah, if you were just to get a chance to just like look at the sun with no atmosphere and you weren't going to get zapped by it, there'd probably be something there internal that'd be going on going, wow. More than just wow. But you get back down, go pet your dog, tell your lady you love her or your partner, and, you know, feed your turtle, whatever. But it would be with more
fish.
Yeah, it'd be with the fish. It'd be with more reverence and respect to the process. Because, yeah, time is a lark. We're just a little piece of sand in there. And we just go with it. And wherever we end up, we end up. And, you know, we're memories to people at a certain point. Even then, the memories die too. But, the impacts we make, I guess it really comes up to how important you see them to be. And there's nothing wrong with small changes, with big changes, with being in a public forum. Since we are a part of a public forum and we are an outward facing show, that's I would say subconsciously all of our desires to be heard and listen to a bigger audience other than the people that have to put up with us every day. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have a little bit of ego, and it's a good thing to check it against something as vast as the universe. And it can renew your purpose or just completely obliterate your purpose. But I think in my case, like, yes, it's very humbling, it's scary, it's frightening, but the things I do are done by my hand, and those are things I can control, and I like the way they come out. Even if they fail, it's a learning moment too. And if I still have doubts about things, I can still look up and see the same moon and the same stars because geographically we're located here and I can see the same things. And that's been my touchstones ever since I was a little kid, just to see Orion's belt. I didn't move around a whole bunch as a kid or anything, so Orion's belt was always there.
Right.
Yep, just right up there. You can just go look and see the same thing, and that's even changed now. Like in wherever that thing is in space and time, it's different.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. And I love what you said, being geographically here, same place, same moon. Mm-hmm. One thing I want to kind of add to what we're saying, thinking about this, it gives me so much more appreciation for the ground that I walk on, the air that I breathe, to understand how precious and how rare a concoction of these elements are to be able to exist in the universe. It's a privilege, honestly. I mean, there's 8 other planets around us, and there's, there may be some microbial life in the oceans of Titan, but there's not really any other conscious life or ecosystems out there. So it just makes me so much more appreciative that I get to go out here and go down and walk the trail and see the trees and the squirrels. And
yeah, like we're just perfect real estate. Like, couldn't have picked a better place.
Goldilocks zone, baby.
Yeah, we're in the Goldilocks zone.
It makes me wonder often, why us, how us, at least within our slice of the galaxy. You mentioned the 8 or 7 other planets, depending on who you ask.
Oh no, there's 8 planets, bro. There used to be 9.
No, you said 8 other, which would make us 9.
Never mind. Ooh, good catch. I didn't even catch that. I was so...
Well, and that's why I say depending on who you ask, They call it a dwarf planet, and I'm like, that still has planets.
Yeah, but if you count that, then there's like a whole lot of dwarf planets that you got to start counting.
Yeah. Well, that's like when they say India's a subcontinent. I'm like, so are you calling it a continent?
To all those who hate on Pluto, your mama. Anyway.
That's right. I got you back, Pluto. Thank you, Pluto.
That Rick and Morty episode. That's all I think.
But no, no, it's all good. I lost my train of thought now.
Got lost on Pluto, man.
Yeah, I did. Literally, I did get
what
lost.
What about the 10th
lost
planet
on
that's
Pluto.
behind that? The ginormous one back there. Oh,
Planet X.
So
Planet
why
X.
us? Why us? How us? And are there replicas of our particular
scenario?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I was going to say
great,
galaxy.
yeah.
I always get it confused. It's a galaxy, right? Yeah. Our particular galaxy. Are there replicas? I mean, I'm sure there are that are built the same way or similar. And I don't know if it's by design. I don't know if it's not by design, but I'm sure there are other galaxies where maybe there's a grouping of planets, and one, maybe two, or none have life,
or even intelligent life.
So,
and do concepts like philosophy and music and morality exist in those vacuums
Art,
too?
expression,
Art.
yeah.
Like, what is art? What is music? What is food?
What is language?
Yeah.
Like, like what is...
And what do we classify as life? We go to we go to the moon, we go to Mars. We got the Mars rover. We're on Mars right now. And it's like, we don't know what we don't know. And that you could take that two ways. You could take, we don't know what we don't know because we're not Mars. We're not from Mars. That's an unfamiliar planet, or we don't know what we don't know because the government hasn't told us.
Don't go there.
Ooh.
I know I'm opening a can of worms, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that.
Nah, man, that's a fantastic question though. What is life, and what do you consider it? They had a helicopter on Mars. They were able to, one of the last rover that went up there had like a little mini helicopter. They were able to achieve flight on another planet. I don't know I feel like we've talked about that. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It broke its rotors. It's no longer in commission, but it got a good couple of flights.
It's worth a shot though,
Hey man, we could do it. Air resistance on a different planet is crazy. But I think of space as humanity's not final frontier, but truly our first frontier. Because we're on this planet that we're on is ours. This is our planet. It's our home. It's not something, I mean, yeah, we want to conquer the other countries, but really we're all just one planet. Once we can all come to understand space for what it is, kind of like we said, go out there and see that shock and awe of what the little blue dot is like and understand the vastness. I think that we as people will not evolve, but just kind of change. I don't know if it's morally or from an intelligence standpoint,
it's all those things.
But I think the more common it is for people to get out there and see that, I mean, as we expand and get that level of ingenuity and innovation, it'll be the beginning of really, you're going into, you're talking hopefully millions of years on what's only been 100,000 years of our evolution. I think that's a first frontier. And if you get there, bro, you got forever.
You got forever. I love the way you put that. Yeah, you're right. That's that defeats, well, it doesn't defeat, but it supersedes the very long, short years that we've had toiling here. Because you have infinity when you get up there. You have every option once you beat that constraint. I love the way you put that, man.
Yeah.
I have a hippy dippy poem that I read today, and it really doesn't have to do with space, but it's a little bit existential, and it ends with looking up at the stars. Can I read it to y'all while I put on my Miss Lippy beads and eat glue? And
I'm gonna go call Beavis and Butthead and have them come gather around.
So
this
one speaks to my soul because Edge. I love like No Country for Old Men. I like Cormac McCarthy kind of stuff. This is a poem called I like kind of the macabre, like kind of weird Western culture stuff. So this is a poem by somebody named Laura Gilpin, and it's called Two-Headed Calf. So dig this. Tomorrow, when the farm boys find this freak of nature, they will wrap his body in newspaper and carry him to the museum. But tonight, he is alive and in the North Field with his mother. It is a perfect summer evening, the moon rising over the orchard, the wind in the grass, and as he stares into the sky, there are twice as many stars as usual. It's haunting.
It is trippy.
Yeah.
Twice as many stars.
Because he's got two
as
heads.
usual.
Two heads.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just it spoke to me, and it touched on like a central theme of space to me, because looking up is such a natural inclination, even when you're like a little baby And before we were intelligent people, we were just like, banging sticks. Like, we still all looked up and wondered what it was. It's like an instinctual thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's, like we said, it's that natural human exploration gene that we all have. The need to explore is there. It's what is that? What does that do from a baby? That it's learning. It's pushing your limits and pushing the boundaries of your knowledge.
Yeah.
And
this stand-up was old stand-up. We're talking like 2010, somewhere between 2006 or 7 and 2010. Joe Rogan would do this joke or this bit within his set where he talks about people getting excited to go to the Grand Canyon. And he was doing, Rogan is. He's like, oh, look at everybody. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And he's like, you think that's neat? Look up. Have you ever looked up? He says, we're on a giant rock floating through space, and you think that's beautiful? Look at the stars. And it's this everything that you said just kind of lends to that. And I just thought that was a nice parallel.
Yeah, can you really look at the new Model X, the Plaid Edition, the Roadster, the Cybertruck, and say this is a pinnacle of humanity? I mean, there's cool radio in there. You can play games on it, but
it's got a cool steering wheel.
Yeah, it's got a cool steering wheel. It's like a DeLorean on steroids. But is it indicative of the future, or is it just a fresh coat of paint slapped on an old concept?
No, man, I think you're going to see buildings like my job's main campus, just like
towering, like against the skyline. Yeah, like in spite of nature and all that stuff. Like those are all just those are all calls from humanity to try and aspire, in my opinion. And like, while it may just be a fresh coat of paint on an old concept, I think humanity is starting to vie for more actual products of futurism and more tangible ways to get up there, rather than just pretending with your architecture and your culture and your plastic silver from the early 2000s on your CD players, thinking it was the future because everybody wore like metallic stuff like Janet Jackson in the music videos.
It's not just about architecture and not just about style. It's about the substance. Yeah, people want substance now. Like, we don't want the Sony Vaio look anymore. We want to be up there. Yeah. Architecture, by the way, was the wrong word. What I meant was the aesthetic. The aesthetics. Yes, thank you. The scale. Yeah, the stilo, the style. Yeah. Spectacle. That's the word I'm looking for, the spectacle. Yeah, there's a lot there. We're all dreaming of it. I think when it becomes it's just going to be more postmodern. It's just going to be us up there without like all the bells and whistles. It's just simply going to be up there, but there's going to be a fundamental change in culture and thought and psychology that will beat all the modern problems that we have today, because we'll have figured out maybe the biggest limitation. And there'll be new problems, obviously, but I think some of the same things will remain in like terms of human spirit. But once you get like different keys, you get to drive a different vehicle, so to say, and you have a different mindset. Yeah. All I ask is our future explorers and current ones, as we continue to charge ahead and crack the code and open up new doors, create jobs and opportunities, remember what makes us great as people. And understand what doesn't make us great as people and try to be better than that. Mm-hmm. Because with this exploration into the unknown, frozen, sorry. As we journey into the unknown, or the known unknowns, right? We have a duty, I think, as a species and an opportunity. I don't want to say to get things right, but to not repeat the same mistakes that we did before. Because I think getting it right can be fairly subjective. So let's just try to not do the things that are plaguing our planet today as we look to venture to new ones.
Yeah, we don't want to just drain the resources, crush the juice box, throw it, and go to the next one. You know,
right? And I don't want to deviate like too far from what we're talking about, but just piggybacking off of what you were saying there, I think we're in the perfect age for that, because typically the history that we learn from is written by the victors, but now we're in an age where everything really
it's all out there.
There aren't very many secrets nowadays. It's a lot harder to bury certain things. The digital age, I think, will be necessary for this expansion, so we can, when we get to that frontier, we can do those things you said, in with the good and out with the bad, for a lack of better words.
Well, even with that, man, the concept, there's one thing. He who controls the data is able to tell the story.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, that's true, though.
Everything's in the database, man. Everything. It just depends on what. Hey, I have all the I have all of the data somewhere, and I can say, I don't want to tell that story because that's not going to help me. So let's move some things around. Now this is a story that everybody likes. So not to get all down that rabbit hole, but I in my heart, I agree with what you're saying.
But human nature, though. No, I get it. It's not how we work. I get it. I get it, man. But it's crazy to think, man. Just look up in the sky, look down at your feet. All of what you see and all of what you know, it's nothing but a speck in the sky to somebody else. If anybody else is out there. Well, I don't know, man. I thought that was a good talk. I enjoyed that.
As did I.
My mind's a little blown, I'm not going to lie. Ooh, just the vastness of that conversation.
Well, good thing you got your hat on, because we can't see your brains.
Yeah, man. Had to put a lid on it, right?
It was good. Loved it.
Nice.
But as always, it is a pleasure having these conversations with you all. Let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like. You can find us here, WFS, on everything but X as Wave of the Few Shore. And then on X, you can check us as WFS Show.
That's right.
You can find me on X at Marshall on Mics. On the IG, Marshall on Mics 3. It's to Trey M. How about yourself, E?
I'm on everything at E Can Talk, except for TikTok. No disrespect, I just don't have TikTok. But it looks like unless they divest their stuff out of ByteDance, nobody's banned in the US anyway.
Man, well, until the ban happens, I'll be found on TikTok. My name's Wavy Car. That's Car with 2 R's. And ew, I'm on Facebook now. Ew. I'm not going to give you all my government, though. But that's for my little side hustle.
Nah, man. You got to do some digging for that.
We gonna find you.
But Mr. E, until next time, man, get to work behind the scenes.
Thank you, man. Love you
we
guys.
We will miss you. And whenever you get completed, your spot is here, man. But keep an ear out, man. Me and Carr got some cool things cooking.
Got some ideas.
We're still coming at you.
Know.
Really good.
You already know. And some of that behind the scenes work is if y'all getting into some trouble on the production side, I still got you covered.
I appreciate it.
Always.
Gonna need it, man. Thanks.
Well, as always, and until next time, the Wavy Babies, there's only one word. Peace.